Today's presentation is going to focus on presentations, and we're going to do a little overview of what you can do on PowerPoint, Google Slides, and we're also going to explore some of the various tools that you can use to help kind of spruce up your presentation. And then we're also going to talk about some of my best practices when leading virtual presentations or workshops at work. Awesome. So I wanted to start off with bullets, and we use bullets all the time. Those, those little dots, little diamonds, little boxes in our PowerPoint slides, and our slides tend to look like the ones you see here on this guide. And I still use them from time to time, but I'm always trying to figure out ways of how I can make my information look a lot more interesting, a lot more visually appealing. So I'm going to just do a quick overview of some things that you can do to make things a little bit more interesting for your slides. Okay, so you could try something that's like a grid, which is basically a set of boxes. You could try that. And you can see that they're using really bright colors to display their information and also have contrast as well. And this is just simply just boxes that you can incorporate. And then notice that it doesn't take much more than the whole entire slide. Another idea that you can also try is icons. So icons are just simply a more modern version of what was previously known as clip art. And some of you just want to be careful with the icons to make sure that you're universally understood. I think the award, you can see that little prize icon there. I think that's a really great icon. The Target one is really terrific because it has like the bullseye one. I don't think I like the management one that has the gear symbols for a person. So you could think of another option. But just be careful with the icons you choose. Make sure that they're more like universally understood. Another thing you could try is you could try like these cards or tiles. You have like these boxes, and then you have like the little icons in the bottom. And it's not as vibrant as the previous examples with color, but they have a little bit of color accents in the bottom. Another thing you could also try is you click on these buttons and it kind of displays information, or it's like it reveals information, or it takes you to a different website. So it's really minimalistic, but I think it helps the user kind of click on a slideshow and it takes them to a different place. So you can see that it reveals what they are looking for. This one's one of my favorites. It's like a pie chart, or like it has like different slices of the section of the circle. And this one is really neat because I think the icons are a little bit more relevant, and they're using the spaces outside of the slide to talk about what is being discussed. The interesting thing though is you want to keep an eye on the shape. So circles are really good. Whenever you have something that's like a line or a pyramid for a shape, that tends to imply like hierarchy or like importance over another thing. So if you want to display hierarchy, perfect. If you're not trying to do that, use something more like a circle. That's a better option for you. And then you could also do something, like the lines, or they call it a tree. So they have the icons on both sides and they have a big line there. You can also do a timeline. So a timeline is really perfect to show how your project is coming along and doing step by step. So yeah, those are the many ways you could change your bullets from a traditional, dot to having shapes and color and icons. So now I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I'm going to go to PowerPoint, and I'm going to just show you how you can do some of these cool icons and shapes and boxes and things like that. So you can use PowerPoint for free. All you have to do is go to outlook.com, sign in with your account, or sign in with your work account if you have one for your business. And then you go to the 9 dots, which is next to the Outlook logo. And then you go to PowerPoints. And then you could just kind of like launch it from here. And then you can start a blank presentation. I already have one that I kind of got started with. Okay, cool. So I have the Save a Tiger. I like working with this type of project because it gives me a chance to explore something that I'm really passionate about, which is tigers, and you could do all kinds of fun stuff when you're doing projects that are more like passionate for you. And here are like kind of like my bullets. Again, this is just a sample, right? So I'm going to go back to my main kind of title slide. And I'm always really curious to see what I could do with the little paintbrush that is in PowerPoint. It's the designer button. It's on the right corner. So let me see if I can zoom in so y'all can see it a little bit better. There it is. I'm just like zooming in. It's this little paintbrush there. So it's really handy. It's gives me all kinds of cool ideas there sometimes. So I'm going to click on there now. And just by clicking on there, I get all kinds of like suggestions. Let's see. So you can see that they're giving me one suggestion that has animation on the background, one that has a tiger that's hiding in the background, another one that has this one here. So I'll try the first one. I think it's really interesting. So I'll click on it. And then you can see that my entire plain slides turn into this really cool background with a tiger in the back. I'll do a different one, but back to the paintbrush. And I could choose different options. So I could choose this one. And it has that video playing in the background. And I didn't do anything else. I didn't install anything. I didn't go on Google or find anything extra. It was all within PowerPoint here on the web. So I'm just going to do an undo here. I'm going to choose a different option. Designer. And then I'm going to go down to, I'll try this one here. Cool. So I'll just stick with this one for now. That's our presentation. And now I have this information here. I'm going to go back to my little designer tool, see if I can get something that looks more interesting. I could use one of the suggestions that PowerPoint is offering me, see? And notice that they've automatically have chosen these little like icons for me. So I didn't really have to do anything. Or I could choose this one. Or I could do something a little bit more plain looking, right? But I'm gonna do an undo, and I'll just kind of show you how you can work with some of those shapes and boxes. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this whole entire text that I have on here, and I'm just gonna copy it. And I'm gonna delete it. Just delete this. And you can go to Insert, and then you can go to Smart Art. And Smart Art is what gives you the chance to add text to these like shapes. And you can see that they have all kinds of shapes. They have list, which is, I think this is where I'm gonna go. But there's also cycles. There's also process improvement, direction, the hierarchy that I was explaining earlier, like with a pyramid. You could do like an organizational chart this way as well. A timeline of events, you do it that way. I really like this trapezoid kind of set here. My daughter's in middle school, so I've gotten really good at identifying shapes. So now that I'm here, I'm gonna just do Control V to paste or Command V to paste. There we go. Here's my stuff. And you can see that the formatting is kind of really wonky, right? So what I'll do is I'm just going to delete this extra bullet here. Just put it underneath. Let's see. Shift enter so it's underneath awareness. There we go. This is under collaboration. This part here, I'm just backspacing or deleting, and then shift enter. So it kind of falls into place there. And then I have all these extra little bullets. So I could just backspace or delete them. And as I do that, the trapezoids are going to get kind of readjusted. See that? Oh, kind of getting fixed. There we go. So now I have 3 trapezoids, and I can make them bigger just by expanding them. And personally, that looks like a lot of text for me, but this is just a practice here. And now I could do a right click, and then I could change color. So if the blue looks a little boring, I could change it to a different color. I could choose yellow or green. I kind of like this mixed color. I'll do that one. Great. And then styles gives you the chance to have the shapes presented differently. So you can have them be like 3-dimensional like that. Or I'm just going to do an undo. Undo is your friend, because if you are experimenting a little bit and you're not happy with the end result, it might take you a few steps to go back. This one, they're laying down, maybe not the best look. Yeah, but that's all I did was just do a right click and then went to styles, and you could change color. If you're not happy with the trapezoid shape, you could just do a right click and then do layouts and then choose a different one. So you could choose boxes, or you could choose these little bars here. And it looks kind of small, so you just have to adjust the size, and you have to like delete some sections. So that's why certain shapes are better. And I kind of like the trapezoid one because it gives you a lot of room to work with. All right, so I just did an undo. I'm going to pause here very soon, but I want to do one more thing before I pause. I just kind of want to work with the animation here a little bit. So there's an animations tab, and then you can give it a certain animation. So I'm going to just do appear and appear. It's fine. And when I do this, they're all going to show up at once. So under effect options, you can have them do one by one. So when you do your slideshow, they should all appear just like one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and press play on the slideshow. There's a present button here on the right corner. That's my presentation. And then I'm just going to use my arrow. Yeah, so that's kind of like the gist of what you could do with PowerPoint in terms of designer, the designer tool to give you some ideas. And then you use the smart art to get shapes and different design tools on there. The last thing I wanted to talk about on PowerPoint before I pause is that there's an editing button. The editing button gives you the chance to, share this with someone else. Right now I'm in editing mode, but you can also do like a view only format. But there's an open and desktop app. So if your company or if you personally have the license for PowerPoint on your computer, you don't have to do a file download or save it to your computer. You could just do this editing button, then open your desktop, and then it moves it away from you working it on the internet. And then it opens on the PowerPoint desktop app. You can make some more changes. And all you have to do is just do a save, file save, or make sure that it's being auto-saved to your OneDrive account, which is Microsoft's version of the cloud. And when you have that set, it backs up automatically. So you don't have to worry about downloading versions of the same project onto your computer. So yeah, we have the question here, is the designer tool included with PowerPoint? The answer is yes. Look for the paintbrush. It's only available in more recent versions of PowerPoint, and it's only available on the web. So if you're using PowerPoint online for free, or the Microsoft 365 version, which is the paid version, yes, the designer tool is there, and also newer versions of PowerPoint. I think it's probably, I forget what year it was first introduced, but if you have an older version of PowerPoint, you're not going to be seeing it on there. All right, I'm going to do a screen share. And if you have the desktop version, I think it's just a matter of figuring out what the desktop version you have and seeing if it's available when the designer tool is available. All right, I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I'm going to move away from PowerPoint. I'm just going to go over to Google Slides. And Google Slides is their version of presentations and slideshows. All you have to do is just go to your Gmail account. Once you go to your Gmail account, you go to the 9 dots that are in the corner, and then you look for slides, click on it. Once you get there, I'm going to go there now. You can use one of their galleries here, and I have a slideshow here. And this one is called A Call to Action, Adopt a Tiger. And if you're ever needing to work, like if you ever want to work on a project and you want to get better at something, try to see if you could do it on something that is not maybe work related. If you can, just try to do something more like a passion project or hobby, because that gives you a little bit more freedom to explore. But when you're doing something for work, I think there's always this pressure that I have to like kind of get it right. All right, so now we have our presentation here, and then there is this little star symbol here. So this is their version of the designer function. It's actually here in the bottom. So when I click on it, these are the kind of suggestions that they're offering you to make your presentation look a little bit more aesthetically interesting. I'll click on this gray one here. And then I have like a logo here, perfect. And then here is some facts about tigers. And then I can go to that little explore button down there. And I could choose any one of these kind of templates here. There we go. Awesome. And you can keep kind of doing that here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put a picture on here. So you can just do insert image and search from the web, or you can upload from your computer. So you can put a picture on there. You can also do insert diagram. And diagram is their version of kind of smart art on PowerPoint. So you could see that they have a grid options, they have the hierarchy, they have the timeline, they have the process, they have relationship boxes that one impacts another. They have the circle thing that I was describing earlier. You could do any one of these. I'm just gonna hold off on that for now. And then if I go to insert, I could also do shapes. So I can add boxes from here, different icons, different things here I can add onto it. Now there is a cool website where you can also get some really cool icons. So this one's called the Noun Project. So at the end of class, you will get a link of the video recording that we're doing now, and then also you get a resource list. So this is going to be on the resource list, so you can get all kinds of icons here that can help kind of spruce up your presentation here. So if I type tiger on my search box, And I believe you do have to create an account, but it's free. These are kind of like some of the different icons you can grab for your project. Kind of like this one. And if I want this one, I could just do get icon. And there is a fee that I could pay for. Or if I want to, I can have the 0. I could have the basic download. I do have to give attribution to the creator though. And then the $40 annual fee is you don't have to do attribution. So yep, that's the one I want. And then you can see that I could just download it from here. I go download it as a PNG. Now it's being downloaded to my computer. Another thing you can also try is you could try this website called Emojipedia. So you can use these emojis, basically any emoji that you would see on your phone, you can get on here and you can actually put it on your slides. I was kind of skeptical about this at first when I saw one of my colleagues use emojis, but then when she did it, it was really effective because she used less words and more images, and it was really like a really impressive way of her using space. So for example, if I type tiger on this website, tiger, and then there's tiger, you can go all the way down. And then these are all the different kind of tiger images that I can get from Apple to Samsung. I kind of like the Apple one. So then I could just do a right click, copy image. And then I can go back to my slideshow. And then I could put a, Control V to paste. And there it is. And I can make this a little bit bigger. So yeah, emojis, icons are just the kind of more modern way where you can have clip art. And then you could just make this a little bit narrow. And then you can make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So that's that one. And then if I wanted to put that other icon that I saved to my computer, I could just do insert image from my computer. And then I gotta look for that. So this one. I could put it here. Just move this over. Do all kinds of fun stuff there. I do have to give attribution to the author since I'm using the free version. So if I go back over here, there's a copy button here from the little attribution. And then I could go back to my project and then I could just do Control V. There we go. And I could just give that little attribution there. And if I work my way down this way, I'll pause here in a moment, but I'm going to do a timeline. So I have 3 years of extinction for different tigers, 1937, 1958, 1972. And all I'm using now is using the notes from the presenter. So down here is the notes. So I'm going to add a timeline now. So I'm going to go to Insert. And then I'm going to go to Diagram. And I'm going to choose Timeline. And I could choose different ears, circles, lines, boxes. I'm just going to go ahead and, yeah, there's a lot of timelines I could choose from. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one here. And here's the dates. I can add more dates if I want to, but I'm just going to stick to this for now. Okay, my first date is 1937. I'm just backspacing. My next one is 1958. And then my next one after that is 1972. And I don't need this extra one here. So I could just do a backspace or delete. I'll try to delete the whole entire shape. Like in the middle there, and just trying to, there we go. I just need these three kind of dates here. And I'm gonna animate them now. So they can appear kind of not all at once. And I'm just gonna click on the first one. And there's like these three dots in the far corner. I'm going to do animate. And then I get this little option here. It says fade in. These are the other animation options. I want to do fade in on a click. And I'm just going to make it a little bit slower. So I'm going to put it under medium here. And then that's fine. I'll click on the next one, 1958. Three dots. Animate. Fade in. I could do fade out. Let's try that one. And then the lastly, 1972. Three dots. Animate. Fly in from the top. I'm just making it a little bit slower. Notice that my previous animations are here. So if I don't like them, I could move them around in order, or I could just trash them if I want to. So let's see how this looks. Part looks really funny. There's a big slideshow button here on the right corner. So that looked really funny. I could just go here, and then obviously I need to make some adjustments on that. And if I go to the animate button again, I could just trash them, press the trash bin, and work on or making a modification or improvement on there. Yeah, and that's pretty much some of the cool things you could do with Google Slides. I'm going to stop sharing. I see some comments on the chat. Yeah, so I see there's a question. I only have design ideas button. Yes, and that's the same as the paintbrush. That is correct. Yeah. And my colleague put the noun project. Again, you'll get a list of all the resources I'm sharing. Yeah, and it's Control V to paste, or Command V to paste. And then there's a question, can you speak to different versions of PowerPoint? I cannot find a timeline on mine. So PowerPoint, your version of PowerPoint might not have it, that specific one with the timeline. You may have to manually do one. So what that means is you will have to just draw like a line or a shape or like a rectangle, and then manually put in the dates. So I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. Let me screen share again. So if I go back to PowerPoint, create a new one, you could kind of manually create a timeline. And that's one of the cool things about this, like these slideshows, is that you could do anything manually. So if I wanted to do a timeline here, I could just draw in a shape. I'm just deleting this, backspacing. Insert, and then you could just do shapes. And the one you're going to want to start off is a rectangle. And then it's this blue color, so you can give it any color you want. Do orange. And then this is the outline of it. I'll do orange as well. and then just make it really long. I'm just stretching it out now. See, this is becoming my timeline. And I'm gonna make it really narrow. And then I'm gonna add dates on here. So then you could do insert, shape, and then you could do circles, or you could do any kind of shape you want. I'm gonna do this little kind of diamond, to like a parallelogram. So do that. And then click on it, double click on the little parallelogram or the little diamond, and just type the year you want. So 1958. And then if you're happy with this look, perfect. If you're not, you can change the color of it here. And then you can just do copy paste. So you could do Control C or Command C to copy and then paste. And then you could put it in a different section. And then paste again. See how I'm manually doing this timeline. And then I could just change the year. 1964, I'm just making this up. And then 1972. And if you want information with those dates, then you can just go to insert, and then you could do a text box. And a text box gives you the chance to add different text on here. And then that's how you can kind of start putting them together. The last thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to group them. So group them means that a set of boxes or shapes becomes one big one. It's almost as if you had tape and you pasted everything together. So what you would want to do is you can hold shift on a different shape, and notice that I have two things selected. I have the thing that says 1958 and click to add text, and then you can just do a right click, and then you could do group, and that becomes one group. So if you move it, they move together. So move that there. We'll do that again. So I'm going to do insert, text box, kind of put it there next to the other one. And then you hold shift on your computer, and then you click on the other one. There we go. I have two things selected. Right click. Oops. Click. Right click. Group. Group. And now they move together. So you can move the dates together. And then you could do ungroup. Right click. Group. Ungroup. And that separates them. And that means that you can move one independently of another one. So that's kind of like how you can create your own timeline and your own kind of smart art without, if you have an older version of PowerPoint, all you need is the shapes, and then you click inside of the shape, and it gives you the chance to type into the shape. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears here. Okay, so a little bit of PowerPoint there. Show you some other cool tools that you'll also get on the resource list. So Slides Go gives you some free slides that you can download for free, and they look really pretty fancy looking slides. Some of them are not free, but some of them are. So when you see the little crown, these are not free, but these are really cool ways to get some ideas going. And then there is Slides Carnival, which I like a lot as well, because they also give you the PowerPoint option and then the Google Slides option. So let's say I wanted this one here. Then I could just download it. And then I could choose Google Slides version or PowerPoint version. And if I want the Google Slides version, it's having me copy it to my Google Slides account. I'll do that now. See, now I could just kind of start working on this now. And then I could just change the information here. I could rename it. I could like click on this person and then backspace and delete that. And I could just change the words. Yeah, so you can just work on these like templates here. Adobe also has really cool slides that you can work on. You do have to create an account though to get these slides. And most of those slides that they're offering you are free. You just have to create an account. There's Canva at canva.com. So if you create an account with them, you can also use that tool. And they're offering you some suggestions here. So all you have to do is go to create a design, which is at the very top right corner. It's a purple button. And my favorite thing about Canva is actually that they give you the measurements beforehand. So if you want to do something for Instagram, they tell you what size it is, for example, for the dimensions. I'm going to go for like slideshow presentation. And it's offering me like a blank box here. But then I can do one of the templates. And again, with the crown, it's not free, but anything without the crown is. So let's see this one. And then I can kind of pick and choose what slides I want. Right now they're offering me 15 pages, but you could pick and choose the ones you want. So I really like this bottom one, so I'll choose that one. And I'm going to choose this top one. Or you could apply all of them and then just delete the ones you don't want. So you can kind of pick and choose. There we go. So now it's doing it. And you could delete these icons and add your own shapes. The elements are here, and this is where you can add different shapes. So if I type in like tiger, I can add a tiger just by dragging and dropping them over here. I could delete this. I'm just deleting these little people. And then there's this big kind of sky blue like blotch here of like, looks like paint. So I just click on it and then give it a black color. There we go. And then I could see business plan. So I could just do, again, save a tiger. And if I keep on going, I can delete this, backspace, and there's uploads. So if you have your own photos, you can put them on there. So I have a couple of my own photos there. So I'm going to drag in this one over. I can just do that. I can move this over. Yeah, something like that. And let's say I was ready to present. Let's say I was all done with my project. There's a present button here on the right corner. And I'll just do present. And my favorite thing about presenting on Canva is that it automatically gives you this little bluish kind of halo kind of thing. And it's really cool because it doesn't matter what software you're using to do a screen share. As you move around, it gives it to you automatically. So it's like a really neat effect. And all I'm doing is just using my back arrows and my front arrows to change slides. Cool. And that's what some of the cool things you could do on Canva. It says here, sometimes when I download pictures and move them from my PowerPoint, they seem to distort. What am I doing wrong? I think what might be the issue there is whenever they look distorted, um, I think my best guess is probably that when they're resizing, you might be doing them from the sides, so from the top or the sides of the picture. So if you're going to resize a picture, just always do it from the corners. So let me see if I could demonstrate that. So if I do insert and do icons, the icons is a little bird. I'm back at PowerPoint, by the way. And you can use all these icons. These are available to you as well. The ones that have a diamond are not free, but let's do this one here. Here we go. So I got an apple and it's black, so I can go to home and then I'm gonna go to the 3 dots, shape fill, give it a different color. Let's do a red apple. And if you go on the corners, if the proportions stay, but if you go on the sides, see these little dots here, that's kind of what distorts the picture. So always go on the corners when you're resizing. If that doesn't help, you can also apply sometimes effects on the picture. So if I do insert, let's see if I have pictures from, let's see, stock images and do tiger. Let's do this one. There's these cool effects that you can do on the picture itself as well. That could kind of help a little bit with that. But the other thing that helps the most is when you get a picture, try to get it from, if you're going to get a free picture from the internet, do it from one of those image libraries, and you'll get a lot of those in the resource list. But some of the image libraries are like pexels.com. So if I type in tiger, you're guaranteed that all these images that are free, that are available to you, are high definition and high quality. So you can just download these for free. You don't have to create an account. So you can see that they're all high quality here, rather than just kind of going on the internet and trying to see if you could find one. Anything that on Pexels is going to be high quality. Anything on Pixabay is another image library that's also, you're going to be really happy with those results as well. All right. So I have a slideshow prepared. I have a mix of different things that I like to have in my presentations. And this is kind of helps me be kind of prepared when doing a presentation like this. So I'm going to go through some of these and just share kind of what I've learned over the last few months, especially during the pandemic and relying on virtual options. So yeah, key is to always have just prepare whenever possible, as much as you can, right? You can have like a helper, you can have an outline. You can't see it off screen, but I have an iPad where I'm using it to kind of keep track of everything that I'm using to follow along with this class. So just making sure I don't forget anything. Having an extra set of headphones, that kind of thing can help as well. And then this was kind of going back to that previous question, but you want to avoid any pictures that are really blurry, anything with watermarks, anything that looks kind of like too silly, too cartoony, those kind of images. Just try to have more images that are more consistent with inclusion, diversity, but also that looks more something that was done in recent years, not something that was done in the 90s, for example. And then sometimes we have jargon and acronyms, so I'm kind of guilty of this, but whenever you're explaining something, just try to strip away that language in your presentations. And then create a resource list. So when I think about presentations, I always think about having a list of resources that you can rely on after your presentation is over, so that people that were in your class or your workshop or your meeting can still get additional help, articles, videos, anything that can keep the conversation going. And then these are my tips for presenting virtually. Have a helper. So I have a helper today. I'm really lucky. If you don't always have a helper, see if you can have a volunteer who can monitor the chat, things like that. And then if you're leading the meeting, make sure you turn on the meeting captions. If you can, when you're sharing your screen share, just remember there's always a slight delay. So you're not going as fast as you think you're going. So I have like a second screen where I'm kind of watching myself here. I'm using my iPhone. If you're going to share your computer screen, make sure you don't have any clutter, any files that are just open. Turn off any notifications. I always like to narrate my steps. So if I'm going to share my screen, I always say, I'm about to share my screen. So that way the program participants know kind of what's coming next. And then if you're facilitating, start on time, but see if you can end a little bit early, maybe a minute or two early. That's really great. So sets up good rapport with people in your class or your meeting. Establish boundaries, icebreakers like community agreements. If you're going to have content that's really difficult, especially like around something around safety or health, you're going to want to consider a trigger warning on those difficult topics. And then if you're ever working with like oversharers, so those are folks who like to talk a lot and domineer the conversation, start off with something called 2-minute 360s. So the analogy is a family dinner. So let's just say you have a big turkey in the middle of the table, metaphorically speaking, and everyone gets a chance to get a slice of that turkey. But people could pass if they don't want to. But then that's how you start keeping track of who has spoken more than once. So you could just say something like, "Oh, Peter, looks like Amanda hasn't had a chance to get her slice of the turkey just yet." So you're using the family dinner analogy to kind of tell the story of everyone gets a chance to eat or to serve themselves, and if they have the option of passing. So one way to do this is you can start in ABC order, or you could do a reverse ABC order as well. And everyone gets 2 minutes, no more, no less, but people can pass as well. So doing that kind of family type of structure can really help you with those oversharers, people who kind of tend to go more than once and talk throughout the meeting. And some slide deck tips. We talked about bullet alternatives, smart art, diagrams, shapes, icons. You can use a template. I think templates save you time, but they also limit your creativity. So if you're a person that really likes to express themselves creatively, I think you're better off doing a slideshow from scratch. One idea per slide, so don't try to put more content on there, just really keep it simple if you can. And then this is a really cool technique that if you could pull this off, it would be really cool. It's kind of like it's called like the TED Talk feel. This only really works if you're doing it in person. And the way it works is you're doing the presentation in front of your colleagues or your class, and the slides are advancing by themselves, and you have preset triggers on there that have a different duration of time. So for example, the introduction is going to be 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, it's going to change. And then after 10 minutes, it's going to go to the next topic. And when you do that and you practice with that, it keeps you on point and helps you stay on message. And it looks really cool because you're not really doing anything, you're just speaking, and everything behind you is changing and alternating and advancing and animating on its own. So it takes a little bit of practice, but it's really, really cool when you can do that. And I was able to do that a few times before the pandemic rolled around. Timeline animation, we kind of talked about that, but this is how it looks like when you do it. And then with your images, we kind of talked about that already, but having large, high quality images, inclusive images, really helps tell your story. And then show contrast. So you could show contrast with shapes. So when you're trying to show different ideas, one of the shapes could be bigger than the others, or you could be a different shape, or you could use a different color or different shade or different distance and proximity. So there's different ways of telling different ideas within a slideshow. Some suggestions, you could try presenting in PDF format, which is kind of my preferred way of doing it. That gives you the chance to zoom in, zoom out. You can use the marker tools. You can actually write on your presentation. And it usually takes up less time to load than a traditional PowerPoint. It doesn't have any animation on it, but it gives you a chance to zoom in and zoom out. You could also try using GIFs, though it could be a little distracting because you can see that the Beatles here are just doing the same thing over and over again. But if it's for really briefly, you can use a GIF to kind of accentuate some kind of fun or levity in your presentation. You can also try the emojis like I shared earlier. Just be careful that they're appropriate for your audience because not everyone kind of gets what all the emojis mean. You can also try a whiteboard. So there's a cool app called Mural and Miro. These are different like web tools where it gives you a chance to log in and you share your virtual whiteboard with the people in your meeting, and they could go in there and brainstorm and share ideas. It's almost as if you were all together in a room and you were like putting your ideas on a big whiteboard. Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, they all have kind of similar options, but these are like really full, robust whiteboards for collaboration, brainstorming. This is also good for like project planning. So if you're doing like phases, and phase 1, we did all this, you can list everything you did. Phase 2, we did all this. But phase 3, we're struggling, and this is where we're struggling, and this is where we need help. That's how you can share your whiteboard. So Canva, some tools that you can, a really cool tool you can use. PowerPoint Online, Google Slides, Adobe Spark, Prezi, Apple Keynotes, LibreOffice Impress is also another presentation tool that you can use. That one is available on Mac, Windows, and Linux computers. So you just have to download it from LibreOffice, and you get a full presentation tool that you can use, especially if you're concerned about just having internet access. LibreOffice is a really cool tool for that. Cool. So I want to thank you all for coming to my workshop. So yeah, next week we're going to be doing a workshop on telling your story visually. So we're going to focus a bit on newsletters and infographics and working with charts. Yeah, and that is next Monday. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.